Illegal immigrants flooded into our country while Joe Biden was president and the Democrats were in charge in the United States Senate and House. And now the Democrats want those same illegal immigrants to have an impact on the elections in the United States. I believe only citizens of the United States should be allowed to vote in American elections, and I believe you should have to present a photo identification card in order to vote. It's common sense. You need to present a photo ID to buy a beer, to board a plane, and to do so many other things that are part of American life. Why not to vote? And the great number of American people agree completely with this, that you should have to have a photo ID and be a citizen in order to vote. The Save America Act is the best way to secure and safely provide elections that represent the viewpoints of the American people. And yet the Democrats in this chamber are going to come to the floor, and each and every one of them is going to stand with the far left, the extreme members of their party who oppose voter identification with a photo ID. We're going to put every one of them on the record so that everyone in America knows that Republicans support voter ID and Democrats are the party of open borders and illegal voters.
Yes, definitely.
Leader Thune? Senator Campbell. I'm sorry. Okay. That's right.
Oh, wow. Wait. What about me? I want to talk. Anyway, hey, what's up, everybody? I almost wasn't going to stream tonight. A bunch of stuff happened. So I kind of threw something together at the last minute. So I hope everyone likes it. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. I know there's probably no notifications went out because it was a late start. But let's see. Doc's here. What's up? Woot, remember to hit that like button. That's right. Kevin's here. Hey, what's up? Glad you got some time. Hopefully that means everything's relatively okay. Well, everything is not okay, but it is what it is. So it's what it is. How can the new Ayatollah be gay? Well, I don't know. Oh, look at this. Simply Virtue says they specialize in promoting Twitch channels. Check out our website, Peaky P. That seems like it's peaky. Very interesting. Mother Papillons is here too. Great to see you. Bonita Beach says it was 20 million plus, dumbass. That's correct. It was. It was a lot. It was a lot. Jason Fisher's here. What's your thoughts on Joe Kent, this guy that ran in my district? A bunch of people were accusing the guy of being a leftist. He's got some strange history. There's a lot of it going around. I think he did vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016 in the primary. He was a Democrat in 2016, voted for Bernie Sanders. I know that. But then again, so did Tulsi Gabbard. I know he was tight with Tulsi. I don't know. We have some stuff about him, some statements. I have some stuff. It's in the middle of the show. We'll talk about him. His thoughts a couple months ago on Iran and his thoughts now don't seem to align. couple months ago, he was talking about all the people that Iran has killed, all the Americans. So I don't know. We'll have to see what that works right. And I just thank everybody who's here. I'm going to go through the stuff about the goal. I don't think that it is what it is tonight. I doubt there's going to be very many people here. Like I said, the notifications didn't go out, and I haven't been streaming, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, the show is going to be about 2 hours long. If we hit the goal of $100 in total that comes in across all platforms, Super Chats, Rumble Rants, Cash App, and PayPal, which is pinned in the chat, along with Coffee, Ko-Fi, whatever you want to call it, and Super Tips, along with, gifted memberships or becoming members on YouTube or Rumble or Twitch or Locals Coins, Kick, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I don't know, all the different places. If we hit 100 in total, we'll add an extra hour to the show, and then as an added bonus, if we hit 50, we'll activate Bella Vision for the evening, which you can see she's over here licking on her paws and stuff like that. So she's actually moving right now. Unless, and of course, someone actually gives an individual donation of $25 or greater, then we automatically activate Bella Vision. That could be like a Cash App, PayPal, Super Tip, Super Chat, or it could be 5 gifted memberships on YouTube or Rumble would be the Bella Vision for the evening. So thanks everybody for here. So let's talk a little bit about the SAVE Act. What do we say tonight, guys? Let's see. So we got that comment about the SAVE Act, and then we got this. Wait, let me go back here. So let me do this. So Jan Barrasso came out hard against his colleagues who are holding up the Save America Act. 10 million illegal immigrants flooded into our country. I'd say 20 while Biden was president, and he believes we're going to put all of them on the record so America knows that Republicans support voter ID and demon rats don't.
10 million illegal.
Yeah, so 20 million, I think. So now we got this. Lisa Murkowski voted nay on advancing the Save America Act. This Republican, who she's not a Republican. She only won because she was primaried and lost the primary, and then somehow she won by being a write-in voter, which is very odd. She lost the Republican primary and then won by write-in twice. And then somehow did something to where Alaska got changed to this weird ranked choice voting, where if you actually look at it, it's very weird the way they do it, because basically the only people that get their ranked choices count is if you vote for somebody that didn't come in the top 2. Those votes don't change. They don't like go, okay, look at those persons next or whatever. It's ranked choice should only be the people who's it's all screwed up the way the ranked choice works in Alaska. Basically, if you vote for someone who didn't come in the top 2, then they take those people's votes and say, well, who was their second choice? And if that person doesn't get enough, then they go, well, who was their third choice? The other people's votes just sit there. So it's very scammy, because it's basically like, why, it only works to advance people who shouldn't be advanced. Like, it should be like a ranking system, and everybody's votes get recalculated, which is kind of scammy too. But the way it works is really screwed up. Yeah, she's like a total F score, 49. Yeah. Turncoat, not a Republican. Yeah, this is not a face of a Republican. It's a face of a Democrat. Yeah, that is a face of a Democrat. I mean, look at the weird stuff. That's a Democrat. That's a demon rat right there. A total demon rat. So, and Trump's had enough. Trump has had enough. We don't want him on the record. We want you to lead and pass the flipping law. Yeah, I've heard some different things about it, where that technically they don't even have to beat this filibuster, because this was previously a law that was already passed by the Senate. It got sent back to the House, and the House tweaked it and sent it back. So it shouldn't need to hit 60 votes. It just needs to. It just needs to get the 51. I guess, I don't know. We'll have to see. Hey, no. Nomi Sunrider, what's up? Nomi Sunrider. Nomi Sunrider. Is it Nomi Sunrider or Nomi Sunrider? Nomi Sunrider. I don't know. Maybe it's something. Anyway, great to see you. Great to see everybody here. So Trump warns them that anyone who opposes the SAVE Act is a guaranteed loss. That's what Trump's warning them. President Trump on Tuesday warned that Republicans who vote against the SAVE Act would face a guaranteed loss when they face re-election. His remarks come as Senate Republicans are expected to begin debate on the bill, albeit without invoking the talking filibuster to overcome the Democrat opposition. We'll see what happens. The Save America Act is one of the most important consequential pieces of legislation in American history of Congress and America itself, Trump posted on Truth Social. No more rigged elections, voter ID, proof of citizenship, no rigged mail-in voting. We are the only country in the world that allows this. No men and women's sports, no transgender mutilation of our children. 90 to 99% issues all. only sick, demented, deranged people in the House or Senate could vote against this Save America Act. If they do, each one of these points separately will be used against in his or her political campaign for office, a guaranteed loss. He further indicated he would not endorse any candidate who opposed the bill, a possible nod to John Cornyn, who has struggled to lock up Trump's endorsement. Cornyn was forced into a runoff against Attorney General Ken Paxton, who in turn offered to drop out if Cornyn could get the Save America Act passed. Cornyn has stated he supports the bill, but has not managed to flip other senators to do likewise, nor has he been able to rally support from the talking filibuster. So I think all this stuff, I think this is moot points. Because if it's a bill that was already passed by the Senate, it's a Senate bill that was passed, got sent to the House, and got sent back. I don't think it has to get 60 votes. I think that's one of those weird, like, arcane rules of the Senate, you know, of the way the legislature works, where you don't actually have to pass because that would mean you'd have to get past cloture twice. Why would you have to get past cloture twice? Each bill only has to get past cloture once. So, anyway, we'll see. What is going on? The Daily Signal just has it as Trump reveals the fate of senators who oppose the Save America Act. And he will never, ever endorse any senator. Get your senators, Democrat, Republican, to vote yes on the Save America Act. I will never endorse anyone. Legislation has passed the House, but faces an uncertain future in the Senate. The Senate will hold a vote on the bill. What is it? It's Senate bills. It's not House bill. It's Senate bill. That's the thing. So we read all this. So this is basically the same thing. All right. A couple stories from the Federalist. I want to read a touch on this. Hey, Margie Smith, great to see you. Thanks for being here. The Senate will only pass the Save America Act if Trump and Thune impose consequences for opposing it. This came out yesterday, yesterday. Well, Monday. But I thought it was consequential, especially this clown. Got to go. Got to get her out. The Johnson treatment was an incredible, potent mixture of persuasion, badgering, flattery, threats, reminders of past favors, and future advantages. The leadership shrug is a remarkable new political gesture. Members of Congress who declared their opposition to Lyndon Johnson's most important legislative priorities tend to be awoken by phone calls in the middle of the night from an angry president. Johnson was fond of psychological imagery. So members of his party who declared their independence would hear that he planned to cut their throats or alter their sexual anatomy. In profane rants, holdouts learned that federal spending for things like highways is about to become quite scarce in their district or in their state, and everyone back home was going to know who caused the sudden money drought with his stupidity. In person, the Johnson treatment, an incredible potent mixture of persuasion, badgery, flattery, threats, and reminders of past favors, future advantages, was known for its physical aggression as the 6'4" president leaned forward and shoved his face into deeply uncomfortable proximity with men who weren't getting with the program. When he met with members of Congress, Johnson wasn't asking. Last week, Senate Republicans announced that they just don't have the votes to pass the Save America Act, an election security bill with measures that Republican voters have strongly supported for years, and it's actually supported by 85% of the American public across spectrums. So it's just a function of math. There isn't just anything I can do about it, says John Thune. Just nothing. I can't do nothing about it. Oh. This is how Republicans are pretending that Congress works. Leaders ask every member what they feel like doing, and then the members all say how they want to vote, and then the leadership accepts their decision, and the conversation ends. A caucus is a counting mechanism and can't be anything else. Thune's "there isn't anything I can do about it" is a gesture of make-believe helplessness that defies 250 years of legislative history. So here, we'll listen to him say this.
Leader Thune, do you run a risk of being on the wrong side of President Trump in your resistance to do this talking filibuster, tying the Senate in knots for weeks?
We don't have the votes either to proceed, get on a talking filibuster, nor to sustain one if we got on it. But that is just a function of math. And there isn't anything I can do about that. I mean, I understand the president's got a passion to see this issue addressed, as we all do.
Does he understand that, though?
Well, we've conveyed that to him, but we'll continue to make that argument because I think it's important that everybody understand that this really is about the votes. It's about the math. And I'm for better or worse, I'm the one who has to be the clear-eyed realist about what we can achieve here. And so we'll continue to convey that. And I think that we're going to have the fight on the floor. We're going to vote on that.
Oh, and just to be clear, the thing that he was able to achieve was passing a fucking Democrat-backed housing bill to give a bunch of free shit away to people. That's what he backed and just pushed through before any of this.
Yes, we're going to put it out, and we'll give the Democrats the opportunity to cast their vote on whether or not they think non-citizens ought to vote in American elections. And so that debate will happen. But like I said, I can guarantee the debate. I can guarantee a vote. I just can't guarantee an outcome.
Do you think the MAGA base has an unrealistic expectation of passing that legislation without Democrat support?
I think there are a lot of optimistic views about what Democrats may or may not do. We all know, because we deal with them every day, that the Democrats are not all of a sudden going to decide that this is something they want to be for. So yeah, again, I mean, I think you have a lot of optimists out there, and I appreciate that, and a lot of passion and energy behind getting an outcome here. But getting an outcome would require Democrat votes, and
I don't think
we'll
so.
give them a chance. Like I said, they'll have that opportunity to vote one way or the other on this. But I would be very, very surprised.
Does it make it more difficult that the president keeps adding pieces of policy to this legislation? Would it be better if you just had a straight up or down vote on photo ID or citizenship, for instance?
We certainly want to vote on the issues that came over from the House. The president has since that time added some additional components to his request, which we will figure out a way to get votes on as well. But obviously, I think the core issue with respect.
The core issue is the fact that they suck, and Republicans are a bunch of scumbags, all of them, generally speaking. So Republican voters want it, the Republican president wants it, Senate Republicans just don't feel like passing it. Sorry, we tried. You know, without looking that Lisa, the scumbag Murkowski, is refusing to vote with her party. It never costs her anything to break with her party, so it's an easy choice for her. But the enforcement of party discipline is historically normal behavior for American presidents. You would think that one of the things they would do is they would tell a senator, like, yeah, you know, you're not going to get any fucking money for re-election from us. You're going to have to get it all yourself. The Senate committee is not going to fucking back you in a primary challenge. Go fuck yourself. You know, like they pumped all the money. I know I'm swearing a lot because I'm very upset. It is after midnight, so I don't think there's any kids listening. So I apologize. Let me try to dial it back a little. Like they did with John Cornyn in Texas, how they backed him with, $60 million to go up against, $3.5 million that Ken Paxton raised, and he still couldn't beat Ken Paxton. And so they're in a, runoff now, stuff like that. They always back, even though these people are not voting like they're with them, they still just give them money and shovel it at them like they're owed it somehow. That's why I won't donate any money to the Republican Party at all, ever. Don't do it. I would advise nobody to. Donate to specific candidates you want to back. Don't give it to them to do what they want, because they'll give it to people like scummy, Mitch McConnell, scummy fucking Cornyn, people that, don't need it, that, screw them. And then they screw over people like Blake Masters, Kerry Lake. Don't give them the money. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, the other guy from Nevada, the veteran guy who was running for Senate, that they refused to back with any money and basically hamper them. And, there could have been 57 right now, 57 Republican senators. But the Senate committee just decided that, no, we're not giving any money to Arizona, to Nevada, to Wisconsin, to New Mexico. We're not giving them any money. No. We want the Democrats to win those states, because that way we don't have enough of a majority that we can get held accountable for not actually passing things. We want to be just close enough. 53. Oh, God, 53. That's kind of a lot. We don't want more than 53. We don't want 57. That would be terrible. So Democrats who tried to limit the New Deal found the Roosevelt administration campaigning against them in primary elections that historians describe as the purge of 1938. Several years into the endless government overreach of the Great Depression, exhausted voters mostly rejected Roosevelt's intervention, but a president met resistance with a fight, telling voters that his agenda was opposed by elected officials that he asked them to replace. Presidents have historically used the other kind of persuasion to get their legislation passed. The 13th Amendment banned slavery failed in the House of Representatives in 1864. President Abraham Lincoln got the votes he needed in the House by handing out promises of comfortable government jobs as post-congressional employment. So bribes. That would be called bribes. I will give you a job if you vote for this. That's a fucking bribe, people. That is a bribe. How is that not a crime? How does that not call into question the entire thing? I don't know. The president and secretary were willing to strong-arm border unionists and horse trade with reluctant demon rats to secure their votes, or at least their abstentions, until they abstained from voting in order to lower the threshold for a 2/3 majority. Oh, wow. So the Constitution, so they played games with passing a constitutional amendment. Doesn't that kind of make you think maybe this whole thing is a fucking joke? You know, like we got judges basically run around, do whatever they want. We have elections that don't really mean anything because you can't get anything done because you're blocked by, communists that have been put with black robes on. It's kind of crazy. So that administration took advantage of the timing of lame duck Congress by offering patronage jobs, and in one case, an ambassadorship to Denmark to defeat the demon rats. That sounds all illegal to me. Sounds like crimes. It does. Sounds like, bribery. Sounds like a crime. At least to some degree, Lincoln bought the 13th Amendment. Lincoln bought the 13th Amendment. The greatest measure of the 19th century was passed by corruption, aided and abetted by the purest man in America. Maybe not so pure, huh? Maybe not so pure. I wish Trump was a little more like Lincoln. Start arresting some of these judges. Lincoln arrested Supreme Court justices. Maybe, just saying. Just throwing it out there. Hey, Forging Freedom, what's up? Great to see you. K Bean says, agreed, don't donate to the rhinos. Yeah, do not. Don't give them your money. You're just paying people to screw you over. If you're into that kind of sadomasochism, go down the street and get one of these girls that'll kick you or something and pay her, because at least you'll get something out of it. So Rep. Thaddeus Stevens is often probably incorrectly quoted as saying Lincoln didn't really ask Congress if they felt like sending the 13th Amendment to the states. You don't have to admire the sleaziness of the political horse trading to see what legislation doesn't just happen. Yeah. And also what they did is they didn't let, even though there was, all these other states at the time, they basically said, oh, those other states, they don't get to vote on this because, rebellion. If the Save America Act is worth passing, it's worth fighting for. It can't just be lobbed at the Senate by passive measures. It's time for the Johnson treatment to get an update, and it's time for Republican quislings to pay a price for their uselessness. That's right. These quislings need to pay a price for their uselessness. An administration gets the legislation it pushes Congress to pass. Yeah. I didn't know Lincoln was such a badass. Yeah. All the stuff Honest Abe was all, and that's just lies, complete lies. He's probably the most tyrannical president we've ever had. Seriously, if you really look at what he did, way outside the bounds of the Constitution. And the Supreme Court ruled against him and said you couldn't do this. He arrested him. That's what Lincoln did. That is what Lincoln did. No wonder they ganked him. Yeah. Here's another story on this topic. It says, if Thune blocks the SAVE Act, U.S. citizenship soon won't mean much. What interests take precedence over 84% of Americans wanting U.S. elections reserved for U.S. citizens? You would think it's kind of important, be a big deal. U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is determined to continue missing opportunities, but wants you to know that it's not his fault. Hey, what is he, like 12? It's not my fault. Oh, it was a locust, floods. He's like, Joliet Jake Blues and the Blues Brother telling Carrie Fisher, wasn't my fault, I swear to God. Was it? Was it really? And its latest scene is just a farce. It really is. Last week, Thune swore that he would bring the SAVE Act to the Senate floor for a vote, like he already promised to do at the end of February. But since he doesn't have the 60 votes, he would be very, very surprised if it passed. The word saboteur comes to mind. Republicans can easily end the zombie filibuster, a piece of Senate paraphernalia of no nostalgic or traditional importance, by lowering cloture, the procedure to end debate, and actually vote on a bill from 60 to a simple 51 majority with Vice President Vance ready to break any ties. But it's even easier than that. Several weeks ago in Human Events, Connie Hare, Reverend Louis Gomer's chief of staff for more than 10 years, wrote concerning the Senate mischievousness over the SAVE Act. The Senate standing rules have been dissected ad nauseum since the House took Senate Bill 1383, a bill already passed by the Senate, gutted its text, replaced its entirety with the Save America Act, and returned it as a privileged message. That procedure posture matters. There is no need to nuke the filibuster, lowering the cloture threshold from 60 to 51 to call up the bill. Emphasis is mine. Under the Senate's existing rules, the message can be called up for debate. After the two-speech rule is exhausted and there is no one left wishing to speak, the bill is voted up or down by a simple majority. Them's the rules. They know them's the rules, but they're lying to everybody. Why? In other words, the Senate leadership could bring up and pass the SAVE Act whenever it wanted. Not doing that reveals much more than Thune wants to publicly admit. As Harris says, if Senate Thune files for cloture anyway to resurrect a 60-vote hurdle, he is conceding that the Senate doesn't intend to consider the bill. It's a facade to cloak killing the bill while claiming they held the promised vote. Why is it important? Well, besides the fact that 84% of Americans, Republican, Democrat, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, reptilian, they want the same basic election integrity protections that are already in place in the UK, Mexico, Canada, because Senate leadership wants us to repeat one of the greatest mistakes of ancient Rome. Yeah. In 2012, Emperor Caracalla changed the direction of the Roman Empire by declaring practically everyone living within the empire to be Roman citizens. I grant, therefore, to all free persons throughout the Roman world the citizenship of the Romans, the emperor decreed. Wow, sounds like Biden. It was a culturally, politically thunderbolt. A cultural, political thunderbolt. Before this time, Roman citizenship had been the pearl of a great price, jealously guarded. Being a Roman citizen set a man apart. Citizenship brought one fully into communion with the city via equality under the law and the right to vote. Citizenship meant that your family had been citizens since the founding of the city or had earned the status through exceptional service or bravery. This is right. In fact, being a Roman went deeper than politics. Romana sum, I am a Roman, preceded the legal category of a citizen. In a real way, the citizen was part of the city and the city was part of the citizen, the two forming a whole. Caracalla's edict, whether a tactic to raise more tax money, a ploy to increase his troops, traditionally only citizens could be soldiers, or a bribe for the gods' forgiveness after he murders his brother, Geta, destroyed all that. Soldiers who had before been united by the ties of citizenship and love of Rome now had deeper loyalties to their local homes and tribes. See, that can be a problem, right? Local homes and tribes. Under the strain of incorporating millions of new citizens, the imperial government cracked even more. Bribery, corruption, and chaos spread and increased. Wow. You don't say. Fraud. You don't say. Wow. It's like that's just repeating itself. It's like maybe not perfectly repeating, but it sure does rhyme. Where before there had been unity, now the ground was more thickly sown with division and the potential for much, much more. Even worse than the political ramifications was the equal and opposite moral reaction. If everyone was a citizen, if the rights and privileges of citizenship were now just bureaucratic baubles for rulers to hand out for their own personal agenda, if Romanus Sum was now just a box to be checked, that was just what was the value of being a citizen? What was the value of citizenship, really? A similar question is before us now. With no way of telling if ballots are cast by living, breathing citizens, how can we tell if a certain election is actually the will of the people? Once that question escapes the stable and the entire constitutional structure becomes suspect along with all forms of self-government. Yeah, like, what would happen if all of a sudden just judges started saying, yeah, we don't care what the people voted for and what the actual elected officers are doing and bills passed. We're just going to say you can't do it because we don't like it because we're in charge. Like, what is that? To paraphrase Confucius, every government depends on loyalty and trust of the people. If that trust die, no one can hold them together except the chains and the whips. This is the wildfire with which John Thune is playing. Everyone knows wildfire. Oof, that's some unstable stuff, man. Look what it did in Game of Thrones. Wildfire. Ugh, destroyed everything. Everything. What interests take precedence over 84% of Americans wanting U.S. elections reserved for U.S. citizens? Well, you would have to wonder what precedents could take over that. Got to be a lot of money. Got to be some other people paying some people off. They're getting some kickbacks from somewhere. Just saying. Got to be. Corruption. It's always corruption. Whatever they are powerful. They're taking precedence over even protecting one of the GOP's own inner clubbers. Getting the save on the president's desk could save John Cornyn's career by winning him a Trump endorsement. This is especially crucial to the senator since he only won 43% of the vote in his primary against Texas Attorney General, who won 40%. They're going to face off in a May runoff. Yes. Paxton going to win that runoff. While Cornyn now writes New York Post op-eds declaring the SAVE Act more important than the filibuster in an attempt to woo Texans, Thune seems more than content to let Cornyn sink. Over this situation, President Trump wields more influence over GOP senators' endorsements, for example, but that doesn't mean we can just sit back and grill, waiting for Trump to do all the heavy lifting. Senator Tim Scott is the chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Yes, that's the guy holding the purse for re-elections. He should be doing something. He wields considerable influence by determining which Senate races receive what financial support. 10,000 citizens contacting his office, clearly expressing their anger at Thune's ennui and their determination that the Senate not just vote on but pass the SAVE Act could cause a tectonic shift behind closed doors. Hey, Gundam Zig, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Sorry I late. Missed that you were streaming. Wow, no big deal. No big deal. Changing government policy from the outside is always a tall order, but it's not without precedent. On December 22nd, 1807, President Jefferson signed the Embargo Act, which cut off all American trade with foreign nations. Wow. Opposition in New England was high, and throughout 1808, the ordinary farmers, small merchants, and sailors of New England fought back. Town hall meetings were organized, speeches were given, articles written. Newburyport, Massachusetts gathered the signatures of 803 citizens on a petition. Wow, a whole 803 citizens. Requesting Congress repeal the act. Other towns followed suit. The Congressional Massachusetts delegation acted as the bridge between their constituents and D.C. The action of New Englanders paid off. Although James Madison won the presidential election of 1808, President Jefferson, as one of his last official acts, signed the repeal of the Embargo Act. If we want to restore ourselves as independent, self-governing citizens, we must act as those New Englanders did. We must act now. While the GOP senators are reminded that tough tweets and promises are just not enough anymore. It's just not enough. Strike while the Iran is hot. Strike while Iran is hot. That's a good story, right? Good story. Mm-hmm. All right. And speaking of Iran, we'll go to this next one here. It says, Trump says, we don't need no help to finish off Iran. That's what he said. We don't need no help. Oh, let's see. Oh, let's listen to this. This looks like this might be a good thing to listen to here. It says, what's it say?
And this is going to blow your mind. Who do you feel more comfortable with? Someone shouting, Allah Akbar, or someone wearing a MAGA hat?
Would you look at the camera and say in solidarity, Allahu Akbar?
Allahu Akbar.
And would you say, make America great again in solidarity with the Trump supporters?
No.
What is a bigger threat to America today? Radical Islam or Trump supporters?
Trump supporters.
I'll say Trump.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say Trump supporters and MAGA.
I would have to go with the Trump supporters.
Trump supporters, and MAGA.
Wow.
I mean, you ever hear the saying, you can't argue with stupid, but it's just, we've had 4 separate terrorist attacks in the last 2 weeks by Muslim radicals, allegedly. 4.
Not allegedly.
And they all feel safer with the Muslim radicals yelling, Allah Akbar. That's what they were saying on 9/11, too. Allah Akbar.
Wow. That's crazy, right? See? That's why I say we can't, this country is, there is no going back and dealing with any of these people. There is no, you can't negotiate with terrorists. And basically the demon rats are all terrorists now. They're terrorists. They're holding everyone hostage. We don't negotiate with hostage takers. Sorry. That's right. Yeah. F you, NATO. That's right. So Trump verbally thrashed NATO countries on Tuesday for the refusal to step up and military support the U.S. Yes, they need to learn the hard way. Yeah, they do. They definitely do, KB. For the refusal to step up and militarily support the U.S. and Israel in their fight with Iran. Trump told reporters at the White House, we don't need too much help. We don't really need any help, actually. He just said he's surprised by the lack of NATO support. I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they'd probably be helping, but we don't need the help. He cautioned NATO leaders about their inaction. And I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake, and I've long said that I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. They wouldn't. That's why I think we should just get out now. Let Europe deal with it. Be your own NATO. There you go, Europe. Congrats. Have at it. Go back to when you guys were constantly fucking fighting at each other's throats, killing each other. Because that's what all Europe did until, basically the U.S. is there to mediate their issues. It's been nonstop for thousands of years. Let them just go back to it. Who cares? Trump offered a form of clarification about his view. It's a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there. Shortly before a briefing, Trump posted that I always considered NATO, where we spend hundreds of billions of dollars per year protecting these same countries, to be a one-way street. We will protect them, but they will do nothing for us, in particular in a time of need. Trump has just set a trap for NATO members by asking them to raise their hand. Since they didn't, he has justification for our exit. Yes, 100%. Trump may have well put many allied leaders on notice. We no longer need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. Likewise, Japan, Australia, and South Korea. In fact, speaking as the President of the United States of America, by far the most powerful country anywhere in the world, we do not need the help of anyone. You could always use a little help, though. You don't want to really alienate everybody. I mean, Japan would help us. South Korea would, too. Come on. You asked them. He claimed Israel was the only military partner the U.S. needed to target Iran. Well, I mean, a lot of people say that Israel actually has the second strongest, what's called air force in the world. It's second only to the U.S. That their air force is stronger than Russia's or China's or anyone else, Britain's, any other country. So I don't know, maybe. I haven't looked at the numbers, but they sure seem to be doing a bang-up job compared to some of these other countries. It says, fortunately, we have decimated Iran's military. Their navy is gone. Their air force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radars gone. And perhaps most importantly, their leaders at virtually every level are gone, never to threaten us or their Middle East allies or the world again. Yes, it's a good test of loyalty and friendship. It is. He went a step further during the media briefing, saying of Iran that everything is gone. Is gone. It's all gone. It's all gone. And on that note, talking about that, let's get into a little bit about this Joe Kent guy. All right. So Speaker Johnson just eviscerates Joe Kent and basically says, I don't know where he's getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings. So let's see.
Ran for Congress, resigned as the director of the Counterterrorism Center. He wrote that he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. He writes, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nature. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. How do you respond to that and to those other Republicans who say that this war is actually putting foreign interests above domestic interests?
Well, that proposition at the end is clearly wrong. I'm on the Gang of Eight. I got all the briefings. We all understood there was clearly an imminent threat, that Iran was very close to the enrichment of nuclear capability, and they were building missiles at a pace that no one in the region could keep up with. They were far outpacing our allies and friends and us in our defense capability, because we had personnel, installations, members of the armed services, and civilians in the region. Iran was building up ballistic missiles at such a rapid pace, and we knew that their plan was to fire them upon Americans. The commander-in-chief and his administration had a very difficult decision to make. I don't know where Joe Kent is getting his information, but he wasn't in those briefings, clearly, because the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and everyone, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, they had exquisite intelligence, and we understood that this was a serious moment for us. Had the president waited, I am personally convinced that we would have mass casualties of Americans, service members and others, and our installations would have been dramatically damaged. And so we had to, the president felt that he had to strike first to prevent those mass casualties.
Yeah, there you go. Had to strike first. And here's Tulsi Gabbard. She's got something to say about it. This was Joe Kent's boss. This is basically, Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president and commander-in-chief. As our commander-in-chief, he is responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat. All right? and whether or not to take action he deemed necessary to protect the safety and security of our troops, the American people, and our country. The Office of the National Director of National Intelligence, is responsible for helping coordinate and integrate all the intelligence to provide the President and Commander-in-Chief with the best information available to inform his decisions. I know how to clips this. Just getting here. Give me the Cliff's Notes. Joe Kent. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamic regime in Iran posed an imminent threat. He took action based on that conclusion. So Joe Kent always knew Iran was a threat, but changed his tune after allegedly being caught leaking classified information. Ah, you don't say. Joe Kent got caught leaking classified information. Wow. Wow. What do you know? Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Iran has been after Trump since January of 2020, after he ordered the targeted killing of terrorist Qassem Soleimani. This isn't a new threat. The Secret Service consistently failing to secure Trump is new. We need to figure out exactly why these failures keep happening. I've been resisting calling him Kunt all day. Hunley brought up who his new wife was employed by once. Mega anti-Israel crowd, and looks like he massied. Yeah. Question, this Joe Kent guy in my district, is he in your district? Yeah, I don't know. And now it makes sense. Yeah. Tulsi gets it. President Trump is a civilizational president who is reshaping the global order. Let's see. Want to actually know what President is doing in regard to a lot. We'll listen to this real quick, and then we got not a lot. We're not going to listen to all of it. It's like, I don't know who this guy is, but I like his beard and his glasses.
What sense should we make of all of this? Because there is so much going on here. First and foremost, what we have to understand is that there are 3 actors in this assault on Iran, not just 2. This is not Trump doing the bidding of Netanyahu or doing the bidding of Israel or so forth. That's just a totally reductionist conception. There are 3 main actors. There's the United States, there is Israel for sure, but there is also the rising Sunni Arab world. And so then that leads to the next question. What is this offensive for? Why are we doing this? What we have to understand is that Iran defines itself as a civilization state in the fullest sense of the term, meaning that its culture and its values are not confined to a single nation state, but stretch out over what's called the Shiite crescent, made up of Iraqi Shiites, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas. They're Sunni, but they're part of it. Iran's foreign policy has been animated by a sacred narrative, Shia messianism fused with anti-U.S. Israel geopolitics, what one analyst termed messianic multipolarity, in which geopolitical power is pursued not merely for national interest, but as part of a divine responsibility to challenge Western unipolar domination.
Wow. So look at that. What does that guy say? Like I said, I'm not going to get them all, but we're going to get some more. So I don't want to listen to 6 minutes of some guy talk because it's kind of stealing stuff. So in Hot Water Clip says, so Joe Kent didn't resign because of moral issues. Shocking. Yeah. So in 2024, after an Iranian-backed militia kills 3 American soldiers at a coalition base in Jordan, Joe Kent blames the U.S. government for baiting Iran. Huh. We baited Iran. Weird. Kent claimed that the U.S. government was leaving troops in areas across the Middle East, hoping that it would be killed and thus providing justification for a war with Iran. So he wanted us to pull our troops out of the Middle East in 2024. Huh. Okay. And I know that Ken has served our country honorably and that he lost his wife in the Middle East. That's right. His wife was killed in the Middle East. Maybe that's got something to do with this. I'm not attacking his character, but I'll say this. If you believe that it's America's fault when terrorists kill American soldiers and that our government is intentionally trying to get our people killed, you probably should not be the director of Counterterrorism Center, right? Yeah. So here's Joe Kent when he was running for Congress, all right?
We left our troops in these vulnerable locations, like on the Jordanian, Syrian, and Iraqi border. Our troops have been attacked, we think, at least 150 times since the October 7th incident began. And so we've seen this coming. This was an inevitable conclusion. So
he's saying, this guy's saying that our troops were attacked over 150 times since October 7th, all right, of 2022, or was it 2022, 2023? When was that? Was that 2022 or 2023 to October 7th? Whatever it was, 150 times since then by Iran. But they didn't pose a threat to us. Does that square to anybody? They attacked our troops and injured, 150 times injured troops, injured American troops, 150 times, but they weren't a threat. 150 times, not a threat. Okay. I think he wants revenge, but that's just me. I know I do. It makes sense, right? And well, let's see what Tucker Carlson has to say.
Leaving our troops in these locations undefended, essentially, we left them there as bait because so many people in Washington, D.C. want to go to war with Iran. There's no other logical conclusion other than the fact that we have left them there as bait to be killed by Iranians at the time and place of their choosing so that we can continue to escalate toward.
So wait, so if the Iranians will kill them whenever they want, wouldn't that make the Iranians a threat? If the Iranians will just kill our people whenever, that means they're a threat, right? I mean, obviously it's an imminent threat if they'll just kill us whenever they want. If it's just we're waiting on them at their time and place of their choosing. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. That's like saying, well, this guy across the street is going to come and kill me. Me being here, at my house is just baiting him to kill me at some point. So that would mean he's a threat to me. I don't know. What's up, Critter Sitters here? Howdy, y'all. Hit the thumbs up. Please, thanks. Have a great night. Lunch is over for me, so back to lurking while working. Hey, great to see you. Snarf, good to see you too. Awesome.
It's a conflict with Iran and us baiting a trap for ourselves to get our troops killed, to encourage and then really to justify a further war against Iran.
So according to this guy, who sounds a lot like, I guess he did vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Just everyone knows this, right? Supported Bernie Sanders. What does that mean? What does that say? But he says that basically if our troops get killed, we can't do anything about it because we were baiting them then. So if somebody kills our troops, then it's our fault. Anytime, we've heard this before, there's things like, there's a lot of these other people that they claim to be libertarians, they run around and say this stuff like, oh, it's everything that happens. Everything that happens. 9/11 was blowback. Everything is blowback. It's always because of what we did. It's always what we did. Yeah. It's not poor Iran's fault they killed people. It's the U.S. fault. Yeah, those protesters that Iran killed, they were baiting them. The protesters baited Iran to kill them. The U.S. baited Iran to kill the 30,000 protesters so that way we would have an excuse to go in and get rid of Iran. Yes, we see. I see. Oh, I see. Yes. Iranian-backed proxies and militias have attacked our people every year of the Biden administration. Hundreds have attacked. Biden did not respond with war. Instead, he released billions of dollars to Iran. I watched a number of Kent interviews during those years. He did a lot of talk about warmongers and neocons, but I don't ever remember him mentioning Israel. Didn't mention Israel once. So now all of a sudden it's really keen to just blame everything on Israel. Like, yes, I heard how, Israel, because Israel attacked the USS Liberty, that means Israel, did all this too. Because, there was I don't know. When I was in the Navy, we had a course on history. They taught us in boot camp. There was a whole thing going over history. And the USS Liberty was taught to us. And what they taught us, and a lot of people said, oh, well, you're just propagandized. And I'm going to tell you, oh, I talked to people who said, you're propagandized by the government. That's just the government, covering up for Israel. That's why they told you guys that it was an undercover, it was a clandestine ship, exactly like there was another one called the Pueblo that was a clandestine ship during the around the same time frame, that said, that went and got taken by North Korea. Yes, then you went to ET school. Yeah, I know, but and same type of ship, electronic warfare ship that was, picking up stuff and signals. And there was a ship, and according to what they taught us in school, was that it was flagged as an Egyptian ship listening, because it was listening to Egypt. Because at the time when all this stuff was going on, Egypt was really close to the Soviets, so they didn't want the ship to think it was a U.S. ship. They were trying to hide it, and it was just basically picking up, it was before we were able to just get everything from the internet and grab everything out there. It was like they had to have a ship there picking up the signals. So did they teach you Israel was friendly fire? Actually, they taught us that it was just a huge misunderstanding. That Israel thought that it was an Egyptian ship. That's what they taught us. I don't know. A lot of people say, oh, no, the people on the ship said they knew, and they did this and they did that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just saying what the official U.S. Navy position was, that the ship was a clandestine ship that was masquerading as a ship giving it off stuff that was supposed to be a different ship. And so they didn't know it was an American. They didn't purposely fire on an American ship. Like now, a lot of people say, oh, yes, they did. Well, if they did, then I don't know. I mean, why didn't anyone do anything about it? I mean, I would think at the time, I mean, there was all this other stuff going on. Like I said, you know, the Pueblo around the same time frame, the Pueblo got taken by North Korea. It was the same type of ship doing the same thing. Just saying. I don't know. We never got that ship back. So, oh, look at this task and purpose. Great, thanks. Says, Iran has attacked U.S. troops 83 times since Biden has been president. But not a threat. They're not a threat. 83 times, not a threat. 84 times would have been a threat. 83 times, no threat. And the U.S. military was unable to provide information on how often Iran attacked U.S. troops during the previous administrations. John McCain set a ship on fire. Yeah, but his dad was an admiral, so he's fine. The Forest Fire, it was called. Light Warrior, 1812. Says, I like Jim better than Joe. Well, it's not a contest. That's our fault Iran attacked us, right, Joe Kent? Yeah, probably. You know, that's what he would say. I mean, how wouldn't it be our fault then that Israel attacked us? It's the same logic, right? So, yeah, Tucker a couple days ago, intelligence reading my text. I may be arrested. Joe Kent, leaker fraud, quits. MTG becomes very wealthy, quits. There's a pattern here, and I'm here for it. Get him, Mr. President. Oh, yes. Yeah. I could make a long list of Iran's violent top heads and why they needed to go. Even longer list command of the weak leadership. Yeah, tax and purpose. See, so then Trump responds to the resignation of Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent, and people say, well, why did Trump hire him? Well, because technically Trump did not hire Joe Kent. Joe Kent was hired by Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard and Kent know each other because they both were supporters of Bernie Sanders in 2016. Remember all the stuff that happened with Bernie Sanders and the rigging of the primary and how Tulsi Gabbard basically ran out of the Democrat Party, basically, because she stayed with Bernie? Well, Joe Kent supported him too. Hey, what's up, Sailor Curse? How you doing? Great to see you. Ahoy. President Trump responded to the resignation of the U.S. top counterterrorism official in protest over the Iran war. Is it really? Or is it because he was leaking stuff? I think it was leaking stuff. Kent resigned on Tuesday and said the U.S. started the war against Iran due to pressure from Israel. Really? Is that pressure in the room with you now? After much reflection, I've decided to resign from my position. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Oh, good for you. I hope you feel good about yourself. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. 83 times they attacked us during Biden. 83 times. That's crazy. Yeah, that's right. Now, if you're leaking, you're gonzo. It's not legally nor technically a war. It's not. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times, as a Gold Star husband who lost his wife in a war manufactured by Israel. Oh, wow. So he's really on the anti-Israel thing here because his wife lost her life because of Israel. So it's all Israel. Everything is Israel's fault to this guy. So he's definitely got Israel derangement syndrome. He cannot support sending the next generation off to fight or die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people. What? Say what? No benefit to the American people getting Iran out of there? I mean, what? Are you serious, dude? This guy clearly isn't fit to do anything, like to serve any position if he thinks Iran wasn't a threat to the U.S. at all. That's what he thinks. That's what he said. No threat. He doesn't think that what's happening in Iran is also going to help with China stuff, like happened with Venezuela. I wonder, was he against Venezuela too? Does he think we shouldn't be blowing up drug cartel boats, the narco-terrorist boats? Does he think that? How is this guy the head of anything counterterrorism? What about did he say anything about the 4 attacks that happened under his watch that he clearly wasn't doing his job to prevent at his counterterrorism position? Hey, what's up, Brian? Great to see you. Say what? Say what again?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
According to Fox News White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, Kent was a known leaker and was cut out of President Trump intel briefings months ago. That's right. China loses. It's a chess game. So, well, Jackie Heinrich says that he was a known leaker and was cut out of the intel briefing months ago. Senior administration officials says Joe Kent was a known leaker and it was cut out of POTUS intelligence briefings months ago. He has not been part of any Iran planning or discussion or briefings at all. Officials also say the White House told Gabbard Kent should be fired for the leaks, but she never did. Who is the official? I reported this last year. Laura Loomer says, imagine actually believing this nonsense. Oh, okay. Look at this. Kent was crying in 2021 for Iran to be held accountable. He's nothing more than a treasonous coward. There's no new data that led to a new mass guidance, just gas lines, out-of-control debt, Iran trying to start war with Israel. So wait, in 2021, Iran was trying to start a war with Israel. Huh. And in 2021, any discussion of Hamas and Israel without addressing Iran and the Biden administration's desire to get back into the JCPOA is not a serious discussion. Oh, just like Obama and the Bushes and Gates failed to address Iran's role in funding every bad action in the Middle East, including Hamas. Why? Because they failed to hold Iran accountable. Oh my God. Many of the leftists that defend terrorists in the West Bank and Gaza simply hate Israel and are anti-Semites. This has all happened before his wife was killed, and now he hates Israel. So it's really weird. It's really weird. Almost like the two things are connected. Almost like the two things are connected. Almost like the two things are connected. It's crazy. President Trump was asked about Joe Kent's resignation during an Oval Office meeting with the Taoiseach of Ireland. Why isn't it a Taoiseach of Ireland? That sounds like a Chinese name. Joe Kent lost because of Nick Fuentes' thoughts. There's a lot of people that say that Nick Fuentes backing him is what cost him the election. Just saying. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about Nick Fuentes. I really don't. I mean, a lot of things about him stream fed to me, but that's just me. You know, that's just me. His stories about, I lost all my bank accounts. I lost this. I lost that. It's like, well, how are you doing anything if you have no bank accounts? How'd you buy a house? Kind of hard to buy a house if you don't have bank accounts. Just saying. Got to get a mortgage, got to have bank accounts. Got to have credit, got all this stuff. So if you don't have any bank accounts, it's kind of hard to buy a house. Things don't make sense to me. Just saying. Just saying. Trump said he always thought he was weak on security. Very, very sweet. They scream gay, gay, gay with Nick to me. Well, isn't he into some kind of weird cat boy stuff or something? Like weird furry stuff? I don't know. That's what I've heard. I don't know. I don't know nothing about the guy. I really don't. I don't know. Supposedly he lives in Berwyn, which Berwyn's a fun place. I used to party there, but I don't know. Berwyn and Cicero used to be controlled by the outfit back in the day. Not anymore, really. But, just saying. Sailor says, Nick Fuentes is going to be president of the United States. Okay, sure. And he's probably going to have you arrested. Oh, okay. Because you're a large. Oh, okay. And by large, I mean fat. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, well, hey. Try it. Isn't he like 3 feet tall? Weighs about 20 pounds?
Yeah, okay. My name's Nick Fuentes.
So he said, I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a nice guy, he said. But then I read his statement. I realized it's a good thing he's out because he said Iran was not a threat. Oh, wait, there's a video going around that him doing something with Destiny. It says, Jim, if I send a donation on PayPal, does Apple still take a cut? No, PayPal is PayPal. Apple does not get any money from PayPal at all. PayPal has nothing to do with Apple. Fenguli reference, Berwyn. That's right. Why do you have Destiny viewers watching you? I don't know. Are you you're a Destiny viewer? Sailor Curses Rides Again? Because I'm not into the whole cuck thing like Destiny sat there while his wife was getting pounded by other people. That's really screwed up. So whatever, but let's see. Trump respond. Let's see.
Eye drops fixes AMD, right? Nope. What about carrots?
Carrots.
Nope. Eye injections?
Nope.
Watch this and
Wow.
see crystal.
Cool.
Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it. And many people, many of the greatest military scholars are saying for years that presidents should have taken out Iran because they wanted a nuclear weapon. They were, if we didn't do the attack, or if, I'll go a step further, if I didn't terminate the Iran nuclear deal given to us, one of the worst deals ever made by Barack Hussein Obama. Remember when?
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
It's 2 a.m. You're awake. Not.
Very interesting. So, let's see. Top counterterrorism official resigns over Iran war. Joe Kent announced his resignation as director of national counterterrorism following disagreement with President Trump's decision to enter armed conflict with Iran. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war, Kent said. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Oh, no. They've attacked us, 150 times in the past 4 years. No threat. No threat at all. No. Yeah. Terrorists. Al-Qaeda didn't pose a threat either. Just they did that one thing that one day. Just a couple people did some things. They didn't pose a threat. Wait, you're saying, this guy says that Nick Fuentes, it goes by the name Nick Glass, was married to Joe Kent. Wow, that's weird. Wow, good for you. He previously served as a U.S. Army Special Operations Unit and worked for the CIA. Oh, so he worked for the CIA, so he was a known liar. So he's like, what's her face? Sluttykins. Alyssa Sluttykins. After his wife Shannon, a Navy cryptologist, was killed in an ISIS suicide bombing in 2019, he left the agency. Later that year, he praised Trump's move to withdraw U.S. forces from Syria. Kent ran for Congress as a Republican in 2022, and in 2024 received Trump's endorsement. In his letter, he said he supported foreign policy views Trump campaigned on. Well, then it's weird, because if he's saying he supported these views that Trump campaigned on in 2016, 2020, and 2024, Trump repeatedly said he would bomb the shit out of Iran. Repeatedly said, I'll bomb the shit out of him. I ain't going to play with him. So he must not have been listening. You understood that wars in the Middle East were a trap. Oh, so any war in the Middle East is a trap. It's a trap. Oh, it's also a trap. He claimed that high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media led a misinformation campaign in the second Trump administration to sway the president toward entering armed conflict with Iran. Oh, really? So they must have been telling him back in, was it like the 80s when he was being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey, where he said to bomb the shit out of Iran back in the 80s. White House secretary responded to his resignation, saying she disputed the assertion that Iran posed no imminent threat and that the president has strong, compelling evidence Iran would attack first. The evidence was there because they've been attacking. President Trump ultimately made the determination that a joint attack with Israel would greatly reduce the risk to American lives. Well, there you go. Doc says, Kent smells like another feckless Republican forced on him as part of broader deals. Thank goodness he's gone. Yeah, I don't think he was ever a Republican. I just think he was there's a ton of people that do this shit. Like the guy, John Curtis, the senator from Utah, was a Democrat. He was the head of the Salt Lake City Democrat Party. And then all of a sudden he's a Republican and gets appointed as the senator by the, pro-trans kids fucking governor Cox of Utah. So go figure it out. Trump, speaking from the White House, said he had read Kent's statement. He said he didn't know him well, but he sounds like you're a fucking moron. So Speaker Johnson said that Trump felt like he had to strike Iran first to prevent mass casualties. That's a summary. I can't tell you the classified part, but that's a summary that's made public and it's accurate. Yes, Governor Cox is a traitor. Gabbard, who ran for president seeking the Democrat Party nomination in 2020. Oh. She told the campaign merchandise emblazoned with the logo "No War with Iran." In 2025, the threat assessment stated Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and then Iranian leader Ayatollah Khamenei has not reauthorized nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003, though pressure was probably building for him to do so. Kent's resignation comes a day before Gabbard is due to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee regarding her latest global threat assessment. In response to Kent's resignation, Gabbard said her office briefed the president with the best information available to inform his decisions. After carefully reviewing the information provided before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. What do you know? Very interesting. Breitbart just says Joe Kent resides as the national counterterrorism. Hold on one second. I got to take care of something here. So Joe Kent resigned, blah, blah, blah. We saw this. Yeah, didn't they say they had enough material for 11 bombs during negotiations? Yeah, they said, we have enough material to build 11 bombs right now. You can't stop us. We have a right to do it. That's what they said. You can't take it from us militarily, so we're not going to give it up diplomatically. So what's that have to do? What are you supposed to do? Oh, okay, I guess you got us. So. Yeah, just wait like North Korea did until it's too late. Oh, that's what you do. He said he can't support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war. Oh, really? And another Supreme burrito. Burrito Supreme assumed room temperature today, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we're going to jump to some other news, which I think is really important. We got to talk about this. This is crazy. This might affect Nick Fuentes. Florida bill against marrying your first cousin fails. So the Florida Senate failed to pass a bill leaving Florida as one of 18 states where marrying a first cousin remains legal. I didn't know this was legal in Florida. I really didn't. This is crazy. I didn't think this was legal anywhere in the U.S. I thought they made people take like blood tests to prove that, don't they know what happens if your first cousins marry? You get like completely, that's the problem with these countries with the, the map that people show you, the map, the IQ map of the world, the average IQ map of the world. Like marrying first cousins, wherever that happens, the IQ is like, boom, It's like a 20-point dip. It's crazy. Why anything would happen? Like why that would be allowed, anywhere in the U.S. Seems nuts to me. That's right. And Floridians can still marry their cousins after lawmakers fail to pass a statewide ban. I didn't even realize this was a thing. Yes, as well. Wow, Florida is an authentic southern state after all. It's crazy, right? That's crazy. What is this a picture of? Drones target British airbase. Oh no, the drones are targeting a British airbase in Cyprus? Wow. This is crazy. That's crazy. Let's see. Oh, it's going very fast. So just some stuff coming in. I don't see anything coming in. I don't know. Did I see something? Did I miss it? Anyway, whatever. We'll see. So yeah, Florida measure to ban. Motherfuckers. I hate this. A Florida measure to ban marriage between first cousins died last week. What did it say? I think even in Alabama that's illegal. Come on, Florida. Hey, you're kidding. Nuts. Sunshine State legislature signaled the measure would be back on the block next year and would hopefully pass once and for all. What? I think we need to do the right thing for Floridians here. And I think it should come back, whether it's a standalone bill, whether it's tagged onto some other bill. Not really sure. We'll have to see. What? There's plenty of people here and plenty of people you can find to be your lifelong partner without looking to your first cousin. Black slipped a ban measure into a wider Department of Health bill, and it seemed poised to pass after receiving no pushback during deliberations. Who would push back on it? I would really like to see the debates on who's going to push back on this. But wait, who are the Pakistanis going to marry if they can't marry their first cousins? They don't know anybody else. Is that what they're going to say? Or the Indians? Oh, yeah, Muslims. Yeah. Debates about other measures became gridlocked on the last day of deliberations, and an expiring deadline killed the health bill. Cousin marriage used to be commonplace in many communities. It was illegal in all the then 34 states during the Civil War. There was a time when I think first cousin marriages were allowed because population densities were not great, and it was hard to find a mate back when Florida was a wilderness. Florida is not the only state where marrying cousins is still legal. New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and California joined Florida among 16 states where first cousins are allowed to get married with no restrictions. New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and California. Them don't sound like southern states to me. I want to see the stats on first cousin marriage in Florida. It would be interesting to see. Others allow it in certain instances, such as one of the cousins being infertile, while 32 have blanket bans. Connecticut only banned cousin marriage last year, with the crackdown coming in October. I don't understand this. How is this a thing? This is 2026. Don't they trust the science? There's an insane medical crisis in the UK now because of inbreeding and a resulting birth defects. So many children draining the healthcare system with bedridden terminal illness. You know what they say? Import the third world, become the third world. That's the saying. That is the saying. All right, now we're going to go on to another story now. Completely different story here. Brian Cole Jr., the man charged with planting the pipe bombs before the January 6th riot, argues that Trump's mass pardons apply to him. Trump's mass pardons apply to him. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even notice this until now. Let's see. Well, thank you so much, K. Bean, for $20. Oh, wait, wrong thing. Thank you so much, Kate Bean, for that $20 on PayPal. That means we are now $80 away from adding in a first additional hour to the show. And $30 away from Bellavision. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. They don't. He acted on January 5th. Yay, it worked. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, January 5th. The pardons apply to stuff that happened on January 6th. It's specific. Actions about the riot on January 6th, whatever you want to call it, the protest riot. It was a test. Yes, thank you. It was a good test. I appreciate it. I was reading strange state things, and I want to say Rhode Island is the only state where incest is completely legal. Ugh, that's sick. That is gross. That is gross. I have to do this again. Why are you doing this to me? Why does this do this to me? So DC pipe bomber suspect says the criminal charges against him. So the New York Post got these weird pop-up things where it makes it so hard to read stories. He says the criminal charges against him should be tossed because he's protected by Trump's pardons. I don't think he is. Don't think he is. I really have to say I don't think he is. It doesn't seem like it would make sense. He planted the bombs the day before. Kind of seems like that would be an issue if you plant them the day before and the pardon applies to things that happened. Plus, he targeted both sides. Yeah. It's crazy. It is. He is accused of planting bombs outside the DNC and RNC on Washington the night before the riot. Says his case should be dismissed because of the pardons meant to clear protesters. But he wasn't a protester. He says the pardon applies because his alleged conduct is inextricably tethered to the events at or near the United States Capitol. His lawyers wrote in papers. No, they're not. They're not tied. That wasn't a protest, what he did at all. That was terrorism. He planted fucking bombs. That's not a protest. They asked Judge Amir Ali to throw the case out. Oh, Amir Ali. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I wonder what he's going to do. Wasn't he the guy that was appointed by Biden after Trump won? I think so. Pretty sure he was. Didn't it happen after midnight, making it January 6th? No, I don't believe it happened at midnight. I believe it happened before midnight. It was the night before. Trump issued clemency on his first day back in office to roughly 1,500 people charged for allegedly violently storming the Capitol. Trump was accused of inciting the rioters in part because he claiming the election was stolen from him. Well, it was stolen, and he didn't say. He said, "March peacefully and patriotically and make your voices heard." If that's inciting anything, then the standard of Brandenburg is completely gone. Because we still, until the Supreme Court rules on something saying Brandenburg's not good law, Brandenburg v. Ohio is a case basically where it has to be like an imminent thing, like saying, "Hey, go kill that guy right there," type of stuff. That's what it has to be for incitement. Trump's pardons were meant to. What's it say? What is it going on here? Trump's pardon were meant for individuals involved in the events at or near the United States Capitol on January 6th. The Woodridge man denied planting the bombs in backpacks and leaving them near political hubs, but Cole's lawyers argued that the Fed's description of the allegation against him fits perfectly within the types of cases covered, including that he was allegedly motivated by grievances about the 2020 election. The harm was meant for the two parties' headquarters on Capitol Hill, and the bombs were meant to go off on January 6th. Oh. But he didn't plant the bombs on January 6th. That's the problem. Cole was arrested 5 years later by the Trump administration. It's odd, too, that he was not, that Biden DOJ could never find him. You know, it's odd that his family has real deep ties to Ben Crump, Democrat, basically power broker lawyer guy who's totally tied in BLM and all this other stuff, ties to BLM. Almost like somebody made a phone call and said, back off on this one. When would we see the Marines take the island in Iran? I don't know. I don't know if we will. That's what I would do, but that's me. He's charged with transporting explosives across state lines with the intent to kill, injure, or cause damage, as well as attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. He pleaded not guilty. Yes, that's black privilege, total black privilege. He faces up to 30 years if convicted on both counts. There might be a judge that tries to say, oh, no, and going to try to claim that the pardons were for him. He was busted at his mom's house following a 5-year investigation. Was it really a 5-year investigation? I mean, what were they doing on the investigation for the time that Biden was president? You know, after they dropped it, like a couple months into the investigation. They said, because they were supposedly right across from his house. His mistake was not going back and going into the Capitol and getting arrested so he could get pardoned later on. Not maybe now if he would have been arrested in the Capitol prior and that pardon would have took effect if he was charged with something and it wasn't involving this and he was pardoned, then he might have an argument. He technically might have, because he could have said it was all part of the same set of circumstances. Yeah, they dropped it as soon as they knew. Yeah, they dropped the investigation as soon as they knew who it was, because Ben Crump, BLM, all that jazz, baby, all that jazz. At the time, you got to remember too, at the time that this all happened, the BLM riot shit was all going on in the summer of 2020. All the riots and stuff. And this guy's family's directly tied into Ben Crump and BLM stuff. Just saying. He allegedly copped to the crimes in an interview with investigators, telling them he was bewildered by conspiracy theories surrounding the 2020 presidential election, and he snapped after watching everything getting worse. It will take 2 weeks for the ships to get there. Okay, could be, maybe. I don't know if I would go in by ship though. Technically, like I would go in by helicopter probably. His lawyers have said that his autism and OCD, and he has no criminal history. Oh, so he was going to clean up? Because OCD makes you want to clean a bunch of stuff, right? Isn't that what it is? You got to do stuff, just clean. I mean, that's what I thought. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. A spokesperson for the Justice Department did not immediately return a request for comment. So, I have to wait and see what happens with this. Look at this. Hollywood's Ozempic epidemic is getting worse. Well, who is that? Is that the chick that was in Black Hawk Down? Not Black Hawk Down, Zero Dark 30? It's always a special disability now. Yeah, it is. It's always something, isn't it? It's always something. The ship is carrying helicopters. Okay, there you go then. Yeah, that would make sense. Go in by helicopter. Wait. What? How did this come up? All right. Let's do it. We got a couple more stories talking about this. We'll just get into it. Did Joe Kent sell out? I think he was leaking stuff. I don't know what he is. Who knows? Maybe he's part of this Palestinian whatever movement, that we got, this anti-Israel Palestinian movement. I don't know. So Brian Cole's charged with planting the devices the day before January 6th. Oh, the day before. So we read all this stuff that he planted the devices on January 5th. Attorneys say the felony charges that he's facing for transporting all this stuff, applying governing law to the plain, unambiguous language of President Trump's pardon demonstrates the pardon applies to Mr. Cole because his conduct is inextricably tethered to the events at or near the Capitol on January 6th. No, it says events at or near the Capitol on January 6th. It doesn't say events the day before January 6th. Didn't say so basically what they're saying is if somebody murdered somebody on the way to the Capitol on January 6th, that would be covered. I don't think so. The pardon, like it or not, applies to Cole. I don't agree. The lawyers say some individuals covered by the sweeping clemency were indicted for doing things before January 6th that are thought to have contributed to violence that day. For example, Keith Harrelson was accused of stockpiling and transporting firearms and ammunition for potential use from January 1st to January 5th, despite said conduct occurring prior to January 6th. Is it a crime? Wait a minute. So is it a crime to have a stockpile of weapons? Is it a crime to have a stockpile of weapons? I thought we had a right to keep and bear arms according to the Second Amendment. Just saying. So how's that a crime? Someone was charged with stockpiling weapons? I'd like to see that. Did Kent do his interview with Tucker Carlson? We look forward to his anti-Trump tell-all book. Yeah, probably. Jason, he was leaking. You can't have top secret clearance with that behavior. Yeah. If it's clear that they cut him out of all the briefings and Trump, they knew he was leaking. They were trying to get Gabbard to fire him. And Gabbard was probably trying to do some other investigations. Who knows what Kent was working on? I don't know. Is it possible Kent, I don't know, was working on the voting machine stuff? Maybe. Oh, no. OCD, hand washing. ODD, oppositional defiance disorder. Oh, he had ODD? Oh, in D.C. because they were assault weapons. Oh, there's no such thing as assault weapons. What about attempted murder on a VP at the Demon Rat's office? Well, that would make sense. Try to say he tried to murder Kamala Harris, camel toe. Yeah. Says Harrelson received a sentence for 4 years and 2 years supervised release after being convicted of obstructing an official proceeding, conspiring to prevent an officer from discharging his duty, and tampering with proceeds or documents. Well, it doesn't say. It says obstructing a proceeding, conspiring to prevent someone from discharging duties, and tampering with proceedings. The motion said if Harrelson received a commuted sentence for transporting firearms and ammunition to be used against the government seems to be wasting our time. It doesn't say he was charged. It said Harrelson received a commuted sentence for commuted sentence for transporting firearms to be used against the government. Well, so if he received a commuted sentence, that means it wasn't a pardon for that, right? That's what that means. That this guy specifically received a commuted sentence for that. That's different than a blanket pardon that Trump gave to 1,500 people. So I think they're wrong. This was completely separate. Is it curtains down for NATO? I hope so. I'd like it to be curtains. That was the reason for the quote. Mm-hmm. Epoch Times has reached out to the department just for comment. So this doesn't make sense. They're not saying the pardon applied. They're not saying the pardon applied to these people, to this guy for transporting weapons. They're saying his sentence was commuted. So that means that was a separate action from the pardon. Separate, completely separate. So if one person's sentence is commuted, does that mean everyone's similar situated sentence is automatically commuted? No. That's not the law. That's not how the law works. Just because a governor commutes one person's death row sentence to life, does that mean everybody on death row sentence is commuted? No. You say, no, that's a different guy. Yeah, no, I'm saying this Harrelson guy received a commuted sentence. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why they think, because the pardon is different. A pardon is different than a commutation. They're completely different. Commutation means that you just don't have to, serve your time or whatever. You still have the conviction. Yeah, correct. Commuted is still on his record, but he just doesn't do any more time in jail. Yeah, that's what I thought happened. Like that people complained to Trump that this guy did this stuff and, commuted sentence. And then Trump went back and commuted the sentence. Yes, they are different. And the court filing, so they're saying, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. I'm going to have to pay attention to it and watch it. FBI, under questioning, FBI agents denied that his actions were related to January 6 proceedings at the Capitol. On his first day back in the White House, Trump pardoned, commuted the prison sentences, and ordered the dismissal of 1,500 plus people charged in the attack. Yeah, okay, so yeah, he did. He pardoned, but you're saying the pardon of 1,500 people. The people's sentences that were commuted were specifically these people's sentences are commuted. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Wow, look at this. This is a brutal story. I had to talk to people. It says, a little boy left chocolate handprints on the side of the building as he was plunged to his death. Now his mother is getting prison. That's crazy. It's a crazy story, man. Wow. So the little boy who plunged to his death from an open window on his 17th floor Kansas City apartment left his chocolate handprints on a windowsill and down the side of the building as he fell, prosecutors have revealed. Wow. This is a brutal story. This is bad. A 5-year-old Grayson O'Connor's mom, Corrine, is going to Missouri prison for 10 years. Corrine did not call 911 after her son fell from the window and had removed a safety latch on the window before she opened it. So she removed the safety latch and he fell. Oh man, this is horrible. Cops discovered his mangled body behind the Grand Boulevard Loss just after 11 a.m. He died at the scene from horrific injuries. During their investigation, police only saw one open window on the building's entire wall, which led them to O'Connor's top floor unit, where they found a mother lying in front of the open window. What, was she lying there and crying and just freaking out? Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I mean, I don't know. I mean, did she do it on purpose? Corey Richards was found guilty. Yeah. When asked where her son was, Connor admitted to cops he went out the window. Despite this, the mother did not call 911. Instead, O'Connor's phone was found sitting on a counter, broken, unable to power on. An eviction petition against O'Connor also revealed she had allegedly removed the safety device that would prevent the window from opening. Investigators also found feces embedded in the carpet. Oh, so she was just a terrible mother. Was she strung out? Something, it sounds like. Chocolate was smeared on the windowsill with that appeared to be child's handprints, which was dripping all the way down the building's exterior to the ground. Following arrest, O'Connor was originally charged with Class A endangering the welfare of a child, which required proof she knowingly acted in a way that put the boy at risk. The charge was later amended, however, to Class C involuntary manslaughter, which only requires prosecutor to prove she was recklessly caused Grayson's death, a lower standard under Missouri law. Heroin-laced fentanyl. Yeah, that's Corey Rich's Carolyn. Laced fentanyl. Wow. This is a brutal story, man. This is very disturbing. Mother knowingly acted in a manner that created substantial risk to life, body, and health of the boy by failing to supervise him when they were together in a 17-story apartment containing a fully open window. Like, this is bothering me. Following O'Connor's guilty plea this week, the Jackson County prosecutor said she hoped the grieving mother would get the help she needs in prison. Well, so she's a drug addict or something? That's the help she needs? I mean, I don't understand. They can explain more. The plea was reached after careful consideration of the evidence and circumstances. The child lost her life, and the decision allows for both accountability while also acknowledging a mother is now living in grief. We also hope that during her time in custody, she will access to the resources and support she needs. So clearly, she must be a drug addict, maybe, right? Clearly, it must have been a drug addict or something. So there's feces embedded in the carpet and stuff like that. Like, do they think she did it on purpose? I mean, what was with the chocolate? Did she put chocolate on the window to get the kid to go to the chocolate? I don't know. I mean, next story. Trump signs executive order designating J.D. Vance anti-fraud task force chair, roast border czar cackling Kamala Harris. And this will not be like Kamala, where she was put in charge of the border. So Trump on Monday signed an executive order to establish a new anti-fraud task force chaired by Vice President J.D. Vance to investigate and root out the massive fraud in federally funded programs, welfare programs across the country. Is 10 years enough? I don't think so, personally. Not if she knowingly did it or was like, even if she was strung out on drugs and just opened the window and let the kid do it. Like, I don't think so. Honestly. I mean, they could do throw her out the window, and if she survives, then she gets to go free. Fair trade, right? Trump announced during his State of the Union speech last month that Vance would lead his administration's war on fraud. FTC Chairman Andrew Ferguson will serve as the task force vice chairman. Before signing the order, Trump hilariously vowed that Vance would not be like a cackling Kamala who was put in charge of the border. Remember, Kamala was put in charge. She was the border czar. She never went to the border. She never carried on, called on any great border patrol. The border patrol testified that we never spoke to her in 4 years, and that was a disaster. But this is different. This is a different group of people. KB thinks that's fair. Is it to toss her out the window and see if she survives, she gets to go free. Who knows? Maybe Bumbles can bounce. This comes amid findings of billions of dollars stolen through Somali fraud. Smelly fraud takes billions of dollars. And it's schemes involving Minnesota daycare centers that received national attention from investigative journalist Nick Shirley's expose last year. It is also recently revealed that smelly fraudsters have transported nearly $1 billion in bulk cash through the Minneapolis airport through Somalia in 2024. Well, what if she didn't open it and just removed the safety latch and fallen asleep and the kid opened the window after eating chocolate and fell out of it? Oh, what if she didn't open it and just removed the safety latch and fallen asleep and the kid opened the window after eating chocolate and fell out? I think that would fall. I think that's actually the charge maybe that she's charged with, like reckless endangerment or something maybe. Involuntary manslaughter? I don't know. Gundam Zig says, as somebody who regrets never getting married or having kids, that story hurts and torched my Guinness buzz. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I was like, I thought it was a story that, basically just like to tell people, if you live in a high apartment buildings or windows, even if you only live in a second story, you don't want windows that kids can fall out of. Like, hell, you don't want your kids falling out of beds. You got to put, bed rails on your bed so the kids don't fall out. You got to protect them. That's your job as a parent. You should be to protect them. Child neglect at a minimum. Yeah. I mean, your job as a parent, your number one job is to protect them, which means, feed them, clothe them, keep them safe. What 10-year-old leans out a window, though? Well, that was a 5-year-old. It was a 5-year-old, not a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old. It was a 5-year-old. I don't know how high was the window above, the floor too. Like, how did the kid did the kid pull him? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I would think, if it was a total freak accident that happened, all right, a total freak accident, all right, and like whatever, I would think the mother would have thrown herself out the window to try to save her kid, went after him. Like the whole thing about the handprints with chocolate going down the side of the building, like he was trying to grab the building as he was falling, almost to me seems like he must have been facing the other way. Like if he pulled himself this way, how would his hands be going down, like grabbing on the side of the building? Ban should bring in the Doge kids. They can find it. Yeah. Problem is, it's harder to get a driver's license than to become a parent. Yeah, it is. It's not hard at all to become a parent. All you have to do is find somebody willing to let you do things. Nick Shirley's video on the Cali hospice fraud is good. Yeah. CBS did a whole thing about the Cali fraud, too. Trump highlighted Shirley's reporting before signing an order stating, you saw where a young gentleman was going around and knocking on doors, and none of the nursing homes existed, none of the nurseries existed. Nothing. None of it existed. He further slammed the smelly immigrant community, the main perpetrators of the fraud in Minneapolis, and called out the demon rat governor and attorney general, as well as the smelly Democrat, Ilhan Omar, for being complicit. Today's parents would be filming their kids jumping out the window. Oh, my God. This is not a Republican demon rat thing. This is wherever this is taking place. This is wherever it's taking place. It seems that it's usually in blue states. If it's a red state, we're going to go there too. Trump said, if we found half of the fraud that's taking place in this country, I think you'd have a chance of doing that. We'd have a much more than balanced budget. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about. The theft is incredible. If oops, sorry. Oh my God. Dropped my phone. I'm trying to let it sit here. That way, if I got something, I would know about it. Question. I think Vance and Rubio 2020 chances are over. I don't think so. Rubio's numbers have actually gone up. Rubio's numbers have gone up by like 30 points in the past 2 weeks. It sounds like he either climbed down the windowsill facing the building or was dropped. I hate that it's even a possibility. I mean, if this mother was a drug addict and strung out and all this stuff was going on, she might have been like, hey, fly, you're free. Maybe she thought her kid could fly because she was on some kind of weird drug. I don't know. It does seem odd. Mm-hmm. And it says Vance is going to get to the bottom of it. Yeah. As you state in your State of the Union, in the light of widespread revelation of fraud and federally funded programs in states like Minneapolis, Minnesota, and California, the executive order in front of you will establish a new task force aimed at rooting out the fraud. I mean, who could be against rooting out the fraud? Are the Democrats going to come out and say, you can't root out the fraud? We need the fraud? This guy says, how many other Trump officials will pull the ejector seats and leave the Trump administration over Israel? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. So what? So it says, watch, there's various things. So there's a video here as an example. Is there a video of him talking about it? It says watch. Okay, here we go. So I'm not going to... okay, so we're not going to read all this because this is just Trump talking. We're going to listen to Trump. All right? Everyone would prefer to listen to Trump than me, right?
Trisha Heaton looks great at 67. Here is her #1 secret. Regular milk or oat milk?
Oh, regular. I appreciate it. This is a very big thing that we're doing. It's about fraud, having to do with all the fraud that's taking place in our country. And we have two people that are extremely brilliant and just very talented, and they're going to be put in charge. But I'd like to ask Will, if you would, to give a little description of what we're signing, the executive order, and then I'll ask JD to speak.
Yes, sir. As you stated in your State of the Union address, in light of widespread revelations of fraud in federally funded programs in states like Minnesota and California, this executive order in front of you will establish a new task force aimed at rooting out that fraud, returning potentially billions or tens of billions or even hundreds.
It almost sounded like he said a nude task force, like they're all going to be naked, ramping down the fraud. That's what it sounded like to me. That's what I heard, nude. They're all going to be naked, Greco-Roman wrestling.
In front of you will establish a new task force aimed at rooting out that fraud, returning potentially billions or tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of dollars to the American taxpayer. This task force will be chaired by the Vice President. The Vice Chairman will be the head of the FTC, Andrew Ferguson, who's with us here as well today. But this is going to launch a whole-of-government approach to rooting out the very serious problem of fraud in federally funded programs around the country.
As an example, you've been seeing it, and seeing it pretty big in Minnesota, $19 billion. But that's only for one little aspect of the fraud. It's $19 billion, and California, as they say, is 10 times worse, and other states are 10. And this is not a Republican-Democrat thing. This is wherever it's taking place. It seems that it's usually in blue states. If it's in a red state, we're going there too. But it seems that it's heavily, heavily, heavily Democrat. And what they've done is so sad. When you look at the Minnesota scam, a lot of it has to do with Somalia. Nobody's calling out anybody, but a lot of it has to do, but it's Somalia and plenty of others. And I believe the governor is complicit. I believe Ilhan Omar is complicit. I believe that your attorney general is complicit. And if they are, you're going to hopefully find out about it, and you're going to have to do what you have to do.
Do what you got to do. Get them.
If we found half of the fraud that's taking place in this country, and I think you have a chance of doing that, we would have much more than a balanced budget. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about. The theft is incredible. And I think JD will make, and Andrew will make a charge later on that local states should handle nursing homes and all of these things that the federal government shouldn't be involved in. It's too big. The federal government should handle military and a couple of other things. But when it comes to nursing homes, you saw where a young gentleman was going around and knocking on doors, and none of the nursing homes existed, none of the nurseries existed. The money that's being paid out, and the federal government pays for it. When you see all these people coming in illegally into our country, many criminals, many drug dealers, murderers, 11,888 murders, and you look at California, and more come in, and yet they never had money, and yet they pay them. You know why they pay them? Because the federal government is charged with paying. We're not paying them anymore, and I said that. So these two really smart guys are going to be, I think it's going to, hopefully it's going to be JD's. This will not be like a Kamala, where she was put in charge of the border, and she never went there, JD, right? You promise?
I promise, sir.
Remember, Kamala was
Scouts on her.
She was the border
Scouts
girl.
on her.
She never went to the border. She never called any of the great Border Patrol. The Border Patrol testified. We never spoke to her in 4 years. And that was a disaster. But this is different. This is a different group of people.
Oh, that's great, right? We all hope that gets...
The real reason you're stiff after sitting.
We all hope that gets taken care of. So later in the press conference, when Trump signed the order, he declared the kind of money we're talking about is just country changing. It's country changing money. It's having a deficit to having a real profitable country where you can lower your taxes substantially for people. And I think you have an opportunity to do that. They were not even lax. Lax isn't a good enough word. The previous administration was fraudulent, okay? And I think what they're going to find also, I think they're just going to find numbers that are far higher than you would think. Yeah, before calling out Minnesota, California, and the slob of a governor, JB, fat slob prickster. Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, so this, let's see.
Chuck Norris,
The best commercial of the year.
Wow, Chuck
This
Norris.
is Kathy.
Wow.
Kathy is 62
Wow.
years old.
Cool,
and
Chuck
And I
Norris.
think we've just begun really looking at this, but I think that one of the things we're going to find is that in a lot of these agencies, the previous administration was pretty lax about existing anti-fraud controls, and we're going to expose that too.
I would take the word pretty out. I would change it with unbelievably lax. They weren't, not even lax. Lax isn't a good enough word.
X-lax.
The previous administration was fraudulent, okay? And I think that's what you're going to find also. And, you know, we worked so hard, like most favored nations drug prices. For years, people have wanted. We paid the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far, by 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, more than London would be paying in New York, more than any city in Europe was paying than our cities. We would have a pill that would sell for $10 in Munich, in Germany, would sell for $10, and in New York it would be $130 or whatever. And we worked so hard, and we pulled it off. It's called Most Favored Nations. So now we went from by far the most expensive drugs anywhere in the world, prescription drugs, to the least expensive, and I had to get all the nations to agree, and I don't want to bore you with how I did it, but I did it. Everyone said it was impossible to do, including the drug companies, and we did it. And we worked so hard on it, and we're going to save so much money for the people. Your drug prices are going to be dropping at levels never even, by 50, 60, 70, 80% in some cases, but you work so hard, and then you see them stealing $19 billion. It's like in one pocket, out the other. And I think Andrew and JD, I think they have maybe one of the most important jobs. Maybe it could be one of the most important things that we're signing because I really believe that they have an opportunity to do something so good for our country. You know, people talk about balancing budgets. You can't balance a budget when people are stealing $19 billion, and nobody's ever heard of anything like it. We had, I guess, in the same state, you went autism, where 4 or 5 years ago, they spent $1 million, and now it's almost $400 million in just a few years. Well, autism didn't go up like that, and even the $1 million was probably a fraud, but it went from $1 million to almost $400 million in just a few years. These are crooked people. They basically said everybody in the state had autism. These are crooked, horrible people. And, you know, I was elected on, with JD, Make America Great Again. That was it. And we can't have this stuff happening. Right. We have to be respected. And they left. So I'm going to sign this. We'll take some questions, but let me sign this first before I don't forget. Let's see. Before I decide not to, okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't forget not to, but maybe I'll decide not to. I would decide not to. If I didn't think they could do the job, I would decide not to. But that'll be a terrible thing. I think they're going to find numbers, Andrew, I think you're going to find numbers that are far higher than you even think. And you know.
Wait,
Andrew,
so are they going to, is Fannie Willis going to charge Trump with a crime for saying he thinks they can find these numbers, saying he's trying to tell them to manufacture the numbers, like they did when Trump said, go find the votes? He wasn't telling them to create the votes. The votes are there. Just go find them. Just go look. You'll find them. Go look. Remember? They said, oh, that's a crime. Tell them to find the votes. Just told them to find the numbers, the fraud. Find the fraud. That must be, he's going to create the fraud, right? According to somebody. G. D. Valette says, Jim needs an ad block. I do have ad blocker. And believe it or not, I also pay the Gateway Pundit. I have a subscription paid up for a whole year. I'm not supposed to get any ads. Guess what? Doesn't work. I don't know. If it doesn't work on Gateway Pundit. I don't know. It doesn't work.
To us, he said, sir, he's read the stories about Minnesota. We know California is many times worse, but Minnesota is terrible. They're all terrible. Those cities are terrible. New York is terrible. What's going on in Chicago, Illinois, with that slob of a governor is terrible.
Terrible slob.
And the kind of money we're talking about is just country changing. It's country changing money. It's having a deficit to having a really profitable country where you can lower your taxes substantially for people. And I think you have an opportunity to do it. And I think You two guys are the right guy. If you guys can't do it, we've got a problem. Because nobody else will be able to do it. All right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, right? So that's really good, right? All right. Same thing. It's on the, what's it, Zero Hedge, right? Yeah, Zero Hedge says Trump signs order assigning Vance to head the anti-fraud task force. Love California. It's just run by retards, unfortunately. Yeah. Make fat shaming great again. Hey, Lady Obama, great to see you. Oh, no. Yes, oh, no. So, yeah, so same story, basically same thing, signs the executive order. Breitbart just says Trump taps Vance to lead anti-fraud task force, which we knew this was coming. It's coming on. And then we got this story. It says Trump believes that he'll have the honor of taking Cuba in the future. Hey, what's up, Doc? Yeah, that's right. I do believe I'll have the honor of taking Cuba, Trump says. What's this? So,
Peter?
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, seems like something. Will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation. They have no money, they have no oil, they have no nothing. They have nice land. They have nice landscape, you know. It's a beautiful island. I think they have great people. You know, I know so many people from Cuba that were treated terribly, and they're over here and they became rich. They're very entrepreneurial people, very smart. I know a lot from Florida, especially. There's so many people. A friend of mine started over with nothing. He's now the largest owner of gas stations in the country and stuff. I mean, Cuban. I also know, I was just with a fantastic person who's Cuban and made a fortune in sugar, you know, Fanjul family, right? And
hey, what's up, WTF? How you doing?
This family wants to go back to Cuba to visit it. They haven't been back in like 50 years or something. They largely come from Cuba. And
I want to be able to buy
what
Cuban
happens.
cigars.
They were asking me
That's
about
what I
that.
want.
They want to go back. Not only Fanjul, a lot of Cubans have said, "Oh boy, would they love to go back." I think Cuba, I don't know, it's in its own way, for tourism and everything else. It's a beautiful island, great weather. They're not in a hurricane zone, which is nice for a change. You know, they won't be asking us for money for hurricanes every week. But I think Cuba see the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and.
I don't know what he's talking about, them not being in the hurricane zone. Cuba gets hit by hurricanes all the time. But generally speaking, there's like a mountain range, I'm pretty sure, that breaks it up. When it goes over the mountain range, it like breaks it up and then it has to reform. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Yes. Doc says, I want to see some nice, safe resorts. Screw Mexico. Yeah. El Presidente Rubio. Maybe. I mean, I think they got to worry about retribution. If the government falls and all these expats go back, they're gonna want revenge for all the stuff that happened over the past 60 years. Just saying. The UBI wreck, tobacco growing. No one wants to do the work for $30 a day.
Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Tenebra says Cuba weathers and hurricanes better than other places, including some in Florida. Yeah.
Whether I free it,
they've got mountain ranges that break up the hurricanes.
I can do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders. Castro was a very violent leader. His brother's a very violent leader.
Cubans want out of Cuba.
That's how they governed.
Maybe we could send Mark Cuban back to Cuba. Maybe Mark Cuban could go back to Cuba. That would be great, right? Send Mark Cuban back to Cuba. Clearly, he must be Cuban, right? His name is Mark Cuban. That must mean he is Cuban. Yeah, he's Cubano, right? Mark Cubano. President Trump said on Monday that he'll have the honor of taking Cuba. I think Cuba's seeing the end, and I do believe he'll have the honor of taking him. That'd be good, right? A classic American car is seen parked near the Iberostar Parque Central Hotel in Havana. I'd like to see all the hotels come back. K-Bean says, good night, great show. Well, thank you so much, K-Bean. Because of Trump, you might be able to go to Iran and a week or two later hang out on the beaches of Cuba. That'd be cool. Go skiing in Iran and then go to the beaches of Cuba. The coffee growing is screwed as well. Some of the best coffee in the world and now no more. Cuban coffee is very strong. That was good stuff, man. I've had I had Cuban coffee in Miami, they call it. KP says, "Damn YouTube, I didn't get a notification." Oh, well, I'm sorry about that. Costa Rican coffee is sort of a substitute. I apologize, KPT. You too, K-Bean, but don't worry. I mean, I think the show's going to be ending shortly anyway. So, and what do you mean? What do you? And you know that taking Cuba means no more pinkos, anarchists, and Antifa congregating there for their annual circle jerk protest planning and fart sniffing summits. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, that's true. No more Antifa. You know, that's what they say because they have basically all these people get together with the Palestinian terrorists that come to Cuba too, and they all like trade their anti-West stuff. Tis not your fault, Jim. Tis not my fault. Tis not my fault. Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. I had Cuban cigars when we were at the Atlantis in the Bahamas. Yes. Yeah, Cubans are good. I like them. The cigars. President also threatened to impose tariffs on any country that sells oil to Cuba. Several Cuban experts and Cuban American lawmakers believe the island's communist government has never been in a weaker state. It's a failed nation. They have no money. They have no oil. They have nothing. They got nothing. You have nothing. It's late. Fingers are not working well. No problem. No problem. I thought you were typing in Old English. In Old English. Then this, I wanted to bring this up because this headline I left goes, Trump on taking Cuba. I could do anything I want with it. Oh, wait, we want to watch this because it says Trump says Israel won't use a nuclear weapon in Iran. Going back to start at the beginning. All right, well, thanks for being here.
One of your advisors, David Sachs, said the other week that the U.S. should, quote, declare victory and get out of the Iran war. He also warned that if the conflict escalates, Israel may contemplate the use of a nuclear weapon. Has he shared that assessment with you?
No, yes. Israel wouldn't do that. Israel would never do that.
Wow. Israel would never do that. So Israel does have nukes. We're going to admit that, right? So Trump says he believes he will have the honor of taking Cuba. And Trump speaking says, I think I can do anything I want with it. Whether I free it, take it, I can just do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. The island nation plunged in the darkness on Monday with a major blackout affecting 11 million people. Trump imposed an oil quarantine against the island at the end of January, cutting off its main supply of Venezuelan oil. Israel will do whatever it feels necessary and manage to fall up politically later. Well, that's generally what they do. Generally what they do. They did go around, if you remember, after Munich, they went around the Olympics where they killed, the Palestinian groups killed all those Israeli athletes. They went around the world just eliminating people connected to it and, dealt with the fallout of going into countries and just killing people. Experts warned the country only had enough fuel to reserves to last until mid-March, and that the quarantine exacerbated an already dire humanitarian crisis. Oh, so it's our fault. It's our fault that they're a communist shithole that can't keep the lights on. It's our fault. Tis a Memoir, and Angela's Ashes, great books by Frank Cord, Irish Scourge of the Drink. Failed nation. Lawmakers hawkish on Cuba want to see a transition to democracy and are cheering on the regime's downfall. Protests on the island against the government are intensifying. I mean, that's always good, right? Intensifying. Frank McCord. Okay, Frank McCord. Okay. Administration is signaling that economic agreements could unlock relief for the island. Deals on ports, energy, tourism could unlock sanctions relief. U.S. Today reported earlier this month that the Trump administration is also looking to relax restrictions on Americans traveling to Cuba and an off-ramp for the communist leadership to remain on the island. Oscar Perez Olivia Fraga, Cuba's deputy prime minister, said that Cuba is open to having a fluid commercial relationship with the U.S. and also with Cubans residing in the U.S. and their descendants. Oh, sounds good. I mean, I mean, I guess they'd have to promise not to do anything to people that want to come back to visit their family and stuff like that. I mean, maybe if they let people leave and come back and stuff like that, that would, instead of people having to go get on a rickety boat and try to cross the Straits of Florida to make it to Miami, doesn't sound like that might be the right way to go. So, and then on the same topic here, we got this story, which says Russia says it supports Cuba after Trump says he will take it from the Communist Republic. Well, this is interesting, right? So on March 17th, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Russia is ready to help Cuba. We will help Cuba. Yeah, New York City is starting to look the same. No garbage pickup, etc. Well, communism always looks that way. Communism always looks that way. President Trump previously threatened a friendly takeover. Cuba's national electric grid shut down on Monday. The Russian Foreign Ministry affirmed unwavering solidarity with Cuba, condemning the attempts of gross interference in the island's affairs. I don't think it's that gross interference. I mean, how gross could it be? Who could it be now? Oh. Trump's remarks on Cuba draws a Russian response. A Russian response. Well, let's see what this was one of this guy. Dick Morris was one of Clinton's flunkies.
Absolutely, I do. They may be trying to get to the head of the line, but they certainly are next. And I think that it's very important for us to realize that the big motive, I think, for Trump to topple Maduro was to open a route to stop Cuba. And by basically cutting off their oil supplies that the U.S. is doing, they're creating at first a humanitarian crisis in Cuba, and ultimately it's going to force a change in the regime. Cuba has been the real objective from the beginning. And bear in mind that Cubans vote heavily in the United States. And this is not a foreign policy issue. This is a domestic policy issue. And I think Trump is absolutely right to target Cuba next.
Well, that's pretty cool. Target Cuba next. Target Cuba next. So Russia said Tuesday it stands in unwavering solidarity with Cuba after President Trump said he expected to have the honor of taking Cuba. Reuters reported that the Russian Foreign Ministry, without naming Trump, warned of rising tensions and described Cuba as the island of liberty. What? What? Island of liberty? Are you high? Jean DeValet says, when Angela's ashes came out, the London Underground was still a complete silent experience. I still remember erupting in involuntary laughter while reading it and the stairs in the tube carriage. It's not silent now. I'm sure it's because of the people they let come to the country. It's probably a bunch of music playing, people running around, doing stuff like. Russia reaffirms its unwavering solidarity with the government and fraternal people of Cuba. We strongly condemn attempts at gross interference with the internal affairs of a sovereign state. The ministry said Cuba is facing unprecedented challenges tied to long-term U.S. trade, financial, and energy restrictions. The Kremlin said it remains in contact with Cuban leadership and is prepared to provide all possible assistance, including financial support. I think maybe just a little bit. Russia might have its own issues with stuff going on. Like, I think they're getting bled dry because of the stuff happening in Ukraine. I think, it's affecting them a little bit. Russia also said it would continue to support Cuba with resources as economic pressures increases. The tube is now covered in graffiti. It's a feral place populated with foreigners playing their phones at top volume. Oh, I hate that. I head to the Island of Liberty at least once a year to get whisked away in a white van to God knows where for the lulz. Tommy Two Guns. What's up? Yeah, that's what happens. Uzelian says, my in-laws can go visit Cuba, but we can't. Yeah. I think you can go visit Cuba, but you have to have like a different passport to get in and out, because if you come back to the U.S., I think with Cuban stamps on your passport, I think you get in trouble, because if you didn't go through the proper channels to go there. Like you could fly to Mexico City and then go from Mexico City to Cuba. I think how that works, maybe. Yeah, Russia is in no position to posture like this over anything going. That's right. President Kennedy should have took over Cuba in the 60s when he had the chance. Yes, that would have been the move. That would have been the move when the whole Bay of Pigs thing, not even before the Bay of Pigs, when the whole thing with the, the U-2 spy planes and the stuff that got, all that stuff that was happening. And then they found out about the missiles going in, that they were building the missiles in Cuba. They should have just went in and took them all. They shouldn't have done anything else, but just go take them. They have Korean. You can as part of a church group. Okay. All right. Okay. Isn't the Koreans that were sent to Cuba and Mexico, aren't they called the Anakin? Like, I understand that people think of Anakin Skywalker, but I believe they were called the Anakin. I believe they were indentured servants, I believe. Sunshine says, hey, y'all, how long have you been on? What a good surprise. We've gone over to about 2 hours and 10 minutes now. The effort would have a top figure leaving the communist government structure in place. Remove a top figure while leaving the administration has signaled to Cuban negotiators that Diaz-Canel must go, but has not dictated how that would occur. The approach reflects a strategy focused on forcing compliance rather than fully dismantling the government. Like, that was one of the major mistakes we made in Iraq, folks, we basically banned the Ba'ath Party and said, no, none of you people can be in politics. None of you people, any of these cops, you can't be cops. They basically made all the cops and the military just disband in Iraq. That caused a major problem with actually, because then it was just a bunch of people fighting instead of surrendering. The United States is not currently seeking action against members of the Castro family who remain influential power brokers. I think Florida was looking into something with Raul Castro, I believe. Something they bombed or something. If attempted, the move would mark the first major political shift tied to recent talks between Washington and Havana. The potential outcome is viewed as a symbolic issue that could be presented as removing a longtime adversarial leader. Trump vowed on Monday to take Cuba. After nearly 7 decades defying the United States, Havana's communist leaders are under pressure from Trump, who seemed determined to write another chapter of history. He says, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe have the honor of taking it. Oh, so he's saying he'll be the one. Trump will be the one to take it. Whether I free it or take it, I can do anything I want with it. That's interesting, right? Well, everybody, we went 2 hours and 10 minutes. I want to thank everybody who was here. I know we didn't hit the goal, but I just want to do a 2-hour show anyway, so I was happy to do it. I think maybe I'm going to try to stream tomorrow and Thursday with Joe. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Things are still really hectic for me, so the schedule is going to be up in the air. Like, I didn't get situated and stuff and ready to. I didn't get situated and stuff and ready to go until it was too late and stuff, and so it was, But we'll see what happens. Hey, Joe, what's up? Great to see you. Hey, brother, I'm heading to bed. I'll listen from there until you're done. Well, no problem. Thank you all. I want to thank everybody who's here. There is someone streaming. I'm going to send you over to see old Nicky Rackets. He's streaming and talking about this great trial, which is very, very important for anybody who believes in free speech and stuff like that. It's the Afro Man trial because he's getting sued by the cops that illegally raided his house and stole money from him and then destroyed all his cameras that took the pictures of it and stuff. So I think it's interesting. It's something a lot of people should be interested in because it seems like maybe, just maybe, there was some crooked cop shit going on in Ohio. That's right. Thanks, Gene. You too. Joe says, never mind. Good night to all. God bless. Whatever that means. I don't know. But thanks, everybody. Come on back for Jim to tell you the news.